All right. Hello, everyone. I'm looking forward, very soon to meeting you all in person, and just can't tell you how humbled and excited I am for this unbelievable opportunity. I can tell you that 2 weeks ago I never thought that I'd be doing this, and things change sometimes. And fortunately, I have a wonderful family that have supported me incredibly in my pursuit of this situation that arose. And I'm also very fortunate and thankful to Jed York and to everybody else with the 49ers that found it fit and had enough confidence in me to ask me to take on this role. So I'm very humbled and, as I said, excited, and I can't wait to get going.
You can go ahead and open up for questions.
John, could you maybe go back and just give us the genesis of this?
Yeah, I can. It was a couple weeks ago. So, I broadcast, our crew broadcast the Seattle Atlanta playoff game. And somewhere in that week after, Kyle and I caught up, as we often do after a game that I broadcast of his. And I just told him how impressed I was. And, at that time, I know that he was interviewing for a lot of jobs, and we just started a conversation. And at some point, I indicated to him that, hey, Kyle, 3-4 years ago, I had conversations with the Denver Broncos about getting into management. In the recent months, I've had a couple situations that have arose with prospective owners, and I've sat down with them and kind of shared my philosophies. I think I've always managed to, Mike Tomlin, who coached me, used to say, be where you're at. And so my focus was being on the best broadcaster I could be. But there was a side of me that said, someday John Elway is one of my good friends, and I watched him. I was living in Denver when he went through that process. He was kind enough to invite me into their building, for off-season meetings and such. So, that's kind of been out there. And I even said to my bosses at Fox, if the right situation arose, that it would be something that I would have to consider. Like I said, Kyle and I were in a conversation. He seemed to get excited. At that point, he turned it over to Jed and Parag, and the rest moved fairly quickly.
Hey, John, people see you as, a real smart football mind, but what would you say to those who point out that you've never worked in a front office position and, might have some trepidation based on that? I would say that, I'm eager to earn their trust. And I think the feelings that some might have there are natural. I was thinking earlier today, it wasn't really conventional when I was playing up at Stanford. I went as a quarterback, and, I was off playing minor league baseball, and Bill Walsh called me up as he had taken the job, and I moved over to safety and begged me to come back for my senior year because he thought I could become a Pro Bowl safety. I thought Coach Walsh was crazy at the time, but he convinced me to do it. That wasn't conventional. It wasn't conventional when early in my career, I struggled to get on the field, and here I am this weekend, as a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame and knocking on that door. So there's a lot of things in my life that haven't been conventional, and I think I appreciate that Jed was willing to think outside the box, and we just had a number of great conversations, and you could feel momentum building each time that we got together. And finally, when we actually got together in person, and it just felt right. And we asked a lot of tough questions. We took ourselves through that exercise. I did, because I had to make a decision in a real hurry. I didn't need the job. I had a really good job at Fox that I was very happy with. But every time we got together, it seemed I could check another box, and I presume Jed could check another box towards
maybe this could become a reality, and it did. And so I would say, a long answer, but I would say, hey, I understand that, and I'm fully aware that myself, the team I put around me, we're going to have to earn the respect, and the only way you do that is through your actions. And and for us, that's showing it on the field. And we got a big task in front of us, but I can't tell you how excited I am to attack it.
John, congratulations. I'm not sure as an analyst if you followed a lot of the 49ers this season or in the past, but what do you want to tackle first? I mean, as GM, you have, the draft rights and everything. So, I mean, what area do you want to focus on first to get this team back to where it used to be?
That's a great question. I think the answer, there's so much to attack. I mean, there's a lot going on, and are we behind? Sure we are, because I just got here. I just accepted this job last night. Can we overcome that? Absolutely, we can, and we're very fortunate that there's really good people, some talented people that are from the staffs that preceded this one, and they're doing a lot of really good work, and I can't wait to talk to those folks to tell them how much we appreciate that. I think, though, the most important thing that I can do, I think it's really important that I articulate the vision that I have for this team to everyone in the building, because I know from playing for guys like Bill Walsh and Tony Dungy and John Gruden and Mike Shanahan, I think that's the most important thing you can do is articulate, here's who we want to be, and here's the type of people we're looking for if you want to be a part of this thing. I think that's really critical. And then I would say hand in hand with that, first of all, we got to evaluate what we have. And so, I've got some commitments down here in Houston. I'm in Houston right now, taking care of some of the commitments I had to Fox. I think it's right that I honor those. Jed wanted me to honor those, and so I'm doing that. But I can't wait. I can't get the film in front of me quick enough just to evaluate this roster. I know it because I follow football on a broad sense, but I it just takes time, and there's no substitute for time. And that's what I think you first have to take inventory of what you have to see what we need, and that's with the draft, with free agency. And, it's critical also to put together the staff that I'm going to be working with, and a lot of those people are going to be in the building. We're going to go out and aggressively pursue some of the people I have relationships with that I think are the best in the business. And so we're gonna attack it very aggressively, and like I said, I just can't wait to get that process going.
Know how your staff's coming along, and in terms of the hiring process and the guys that you're going to retain.
Well, I've had a phone married to my ear all day long. I didn't know that that was part of this job, but it certainly is. And so I've had a phone to my ear all day, and I've been working hard to try to do that. Now, some of the people, like I said, they're there in the building, and I don't want to get into specifics too much. I will say for someone like Tom Gamble, he's got a ton of experience in this business, and I'd be a fool not to sit down and soak that up, and I'm eager to do that. And like I said before, I'm very appreciative, and I can't wait to communicate how appreciative I am to the people in the building that are working really hard while things are kind of in flux. And very soon we're gonna all be working together. So I'm very appreciative and eager. And then, outside, I don't want to get into specifics, but I can just tell you that we're going to be really aggressive. And the response, I can tell you, has been magnificent to people that really want to be here.
John, what exactly are your duties as the GM? Are you in charge of the salary cap and contract negotiations? Will you oversee the scouting and college and pro personnel departments? And will you have final say over the 53-man roster?
Well, I think a lot of those things are specifics that we got to get to the point where, that the final strokes, I guess I would say, as we get our head coach in order and all of those things. And I can tell you that from the outset, what has been communicated to me is that we really want this to be a true partnership. Jed's communicated that. Parag has communicated that. That's my wish. One of the great things, and I spoke earlier and this doesn't ensure you success, but I can tell you, one thing from being a broadcaster, you get invited into people's buildings, and like I said, this wasn't like, I'm sitting in there taking notes, stealing institutional knowledge, but you do sit down with head coaches, you talk with management places you are, and I think the one common denominator that I've seen, when I talk to folks in places where they have successful cultures and results, everyone's working in the same direction. In places that are inconsistent or are consistently poor franchises, it's you can see it because you can feel it because people from one side are coming up and saying, hey, if I had any players, we could get this thing going. Management is saying, hey, if we had some guys coaching these guys, that's not what we're going to be. We're going to strive to create a culture where everyone's working together. I think that's one of my strengths. It's something that I've done throughout my career is I've had an ability to bring people together. I've been out front oftentimes. I've been named captains, in a broadcast crew, you're out front. And I think that's a strength of mine. And, whoever this head coach is going to be, that will be something that we all understand that we're like-minded in our pursuit of winning a championship and also, making a real positive impact in the community in which we play, making our fans proud. It's something that we're going to be all about.
John, it was on being the team's new GM. My question to you is, this team has been lacking a culture identity they can identify with. What type of culture identity do you plan on implementing here in San Francisco?
Well, I think one thing I learned in my time in Denver, Pat Bowlen, I think, did terrifically as an owner, and I think it's one thing that really drew me to the San Francisco 49ers. I was around here when they were winning championships, and, in those places, I think a lot of people, I think everyone wants to win championships, but in a lot of places there's lip service being paid to the commitment to doing that. I think when you're in a place like when I was in Denver, and the San Francisco 49ers that won all those championships, the Pittsburgh Steelers, everything they do is to give you the best chance to do just that. So I think everybody that enters this building has to be single-minded in their mindset of that's what we're here to do. One thing I shared with Jed during the process, I also learned a great lesson from Tony Dungy early in my career. In our very first team meeting we ever had, he said, listen, he spoke to that, but he also said if that's all we've done, we haven't done enough. And he talked about the role we had in our community. So I think you can do both. I think they enhance each other. I think that's going to be at the forefront of the culture. And then, I can tell you, I don't want to make too many promises. The one promise I can make, I think, of any team I'm going to be associated with, you're going to have competitive players that want to compete, that live and breathe football, that are going to play hard. If they don't play hard, we're going to find players that will play hard. They're going to do things right. We're not going to be perfect both on and off the field, but we're going to strive to be that. And it's going to be tough and physical. And, I'm getting excited talking about it right now, but that's the kind of culture we're going to try to bring.
John, it was reported that you received a 6-year contract. First of all, can you confirm that? And also, that's somewhat unprecedented. How important was it for you to have that kind of stability coming into this situation?
I think when everything's wrapped up, we can confirm things. But what I can tell you is the commitment that Jed and the 49er organization have shown to me to make this thing come to fruition has been incredible. They identified that they wanted it to happen. They gauged my interest. I got things right with my family. I'm incredibly appreciative and fortunate in this world that things stayed quiet, because what that did, it allowed me to truly assess the situation, to ask the tough questions, to just kind of get with people that I'm going to be working with, and any elephant in the room, just get rid of it and ask questions. I didn't need the job, so that gave me a great position to be able to kind of just be very forward and I asked those questions, and I'm proud of the way that happened. I'm proud of the way they responded, and I think I didn't want to put my family. A lot of people are saying, why was it so important to be secretive? I've had people ask me that. I wanted to be able to best evaluate this situation as it developed, and I thought it would be much easier if I didn't have the world breathing down my throat. And also, and most of all, it was out of respect to the people who employed me at Fox.
John, just following up on that, could you give us a couple of examples of some of the tough questions that you had coming into this process?
Well, I think I can do it in broad strokes. A lot of it was the commitment. The commitment of resources. I can tell you that. That I spoke to the genesis of this, starting with the conversation, and Kyle Shanahan and I. And Kyle must have been real fired up to have called Jed and put Jed in touch with me. But I felt it was really important that I was vetted like any other general manager candidate was. I didn't want to be, just because someone liked me that I was all of a sudden went to the front of the line. I wanted to be vetted. I wanted to be interviewed, and that happened. And I'm glad it did. And I think I don't want to get into specifics of what we talked about. That I think will happen as we all get to know each other. But I can tell you that they were very productive. We forced ourselves to find out a lot about each other in a short time, and frankly, that needed to happen. I didn't want this to linger on. It wasn't fair to the organization, and they wanted a quick resolution to things just because there's a lot of work to be done. And I think we were able to do that, and that's why this thing did come to fruition.
John, do you report to Parag Marathe? Is he your boss?
Parag's a guy that I'm really excited to work with in a number of roles, supporting me in this organization. But I report to Jed York, and that's what I've been instructed, and that's who I report to. And but like I said, I think during this whole process, I was very upfront, and I'm smart enough to know what I don't know. I've negotiated my own contracts. I've been involved in those discussions, but I have not done that. And so I feel real blessed that, in our building in Parag, you have what numerous people have told me is one of the most skilled contract negotiators in the business. And so I'm excited about that.
We'll go a couple more before we allow John to get back to his commitment to Fox.
John, what is it about Kyle about working with Kyle that made this attractive to you?
Well, I think we all are aware of the rules, and we need to pump the brakes on that. Whoever our head coach is, I can tell you though, I think Bob, tell me if I'm wrong. I can speak to where my admiration for Kyle Shanahan arises from. I was very public in the broadcast that I did. I thought he was the catch, and this is long before I was ever thinking in this role. I was just thinking in my job as an analyst. I thought he was the catch of this head coaching cycle. I really did. I think it's one of the best years I've seen a coordinator have. But when I talked to Matt Ryan and the players on this team, they spoke of the leadership and the presence that Kyle had in front of that room. And I think that in this league, again, I get to see a very global outlook of the league, and there's a lot of really good coordinators. There's some that really separate themselves, and I just thought Kyle, he really did that this year. He has impressed me for a long time. This year he put it all together, and it wasn't just calling plays. He was setting up plays, and he was doing things, and as soon as I got in front of him and saw the other part, his philosophies and how they married, with mine and all those things, it just got me really excited. So those are my thoughts on Kyle.
All right,
hey, John, you mentioned some of the coaches you played under who were influences on you. But as you look to being part of a front office and making personnel evaluations, are there models you look to or guys you might bounce things off of who are known more as scouts or general managers?
Well, I think the best case is John Elway. I mean, like I said, we're friendly. We both went to Stanford. There's a lot of parallels, and when I came to Denver, he looked out for me, and we became very close friends. He's one of my closest friends, and so I got to see a snapshot of what the role was like. Like I said, there was one off season where he brought me in. I went to the combine, kind of did all of that, and I'm not into making comparisons, but I can tell you that I strive to attack this job in the same way he has. He's been excellent at it. He's also shown me that he's given me the confidence in many ways that although we haven't done it, one thing I told Jed over and over, I know what I don't know, and I'm not going to profess. I can't tell you that I've had 20 years in front offices working my way up, but what I do know, I know football. I'll put my football acumen up with most in this league. I know people, and I know how to lead. And as I've watched John, I think those are things he's done extremely well, and what I strive to do in this role. And I keep saying it, but I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to just getting down to putting this thing together in the way that we see fit, and putting this team together. I'm talking about around me in the personnel department and in the management department to, when the Super Bowl's over, to put our coaching staff together so that we can really get down and all work together to identify, specifically what that culture is that we want to build, who those players are, the characteristics of the players, and not going to make any promises other than what I told you earlier. We will compete. We will play hard, and we'll make you proud on and off the field. That's what we'll strive for. We're not going to be perfect, but we're gonna give every effort towards doing that and making 49er fans proud, making the Jed York, the DeBartolo family, everybody associated really, really proud, and getting this place back to where it belongs. It's another thing, and I'll just finish with this, that people say, what attracted you, to this job? I understand this isn't just any organization. This is the San Francisco 49ers, and it's proud. It's a proud franchise. It's had a couple rough years, and I've been there before as a player in Tampa, and there's no better feeling than taking something that's fallen. Now in Tampa, we had never been to the top, but I can tell you when we won a Super Bowl, I got to believe it was a little sweeter because where we came from, and I'm looking very forward to working towards that goal so we can all feel that again, and we can make the 49er community proud of their team and proud of their organization.